Here we go again. Scottish independence. 19th of October 2023 is the proposed date for the referendum. This is the only thing that the SNP cares about. I mean, it's definitely not human rights or anything else. They are a single issue party, and unfortunately, they are the ruling party in Scotland. But it'll be really, really good once they get independence. But I'll do my little bit at the end. Scotland's First Minister has proposed the 19th of October 2023 as the date for another referendum on independence after the last one we had in 2014. Nicola Sturgeon said the question would be the same as in the last referendum in 2014. Should Scotland be an independent country? Miss Sturgeon has written to Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying she remains ready to negotiate the formal consent for the vote to be held. She said she would press on with her plan if this was not granted. So basically, they're just going ahead with the vote, regardless of what anybody in Westminster says. But she stressed that any referendum would need to be indisputably lawful and constitutional, with the Supreme Court being asked to rule on whether the Scottish Government has the power to hold a vote without UK Government approval. The UK Government said it would examine the First Minister's proposals, but stressed that its position that now is not the time for another referendum had not changed. It has also said that it is clear that the Constitution is reserved to Westminster. Now, the problem is, I am pro-independence. I want Scotland to be an independent country because I'm a little bit of... Basically, I do like power being decentralised. I say, why stop there? Why not let cities and countries and my front garden be able to do the same thing? And the SNP wouldn't be able to provide an argument against that. But another thing as well is it isn't the time. You know, we've just had the pandemic. We've just had fucking all manners of fucking shit war happening in Europe. Blah, 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 blah. Now's not the time, right? I want it. I want independence, mostly because once the independence stuff is out the way and all the simps, as we call them, you know, the SNP simps, have independence, and then they go, okay, what do we do now? Oh, we can ask the party for other things and the other areas that they do. And when they look at the other stuff the SNP is doing, they're going to go, wow, this party's actually really bad. This party's actually fucking atrocious and has no idea what it's doing. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons I want independence as well. The UK government said it would examine the First Minister's proposals, but stressed that its position that... No, oh, I've just read that. Mr Johnson said... Mr Johnson, he's gone now. We'll study it very carefully and respond properly. I think the focus of the country should be building for a stronger economy. That's what we're doing. I certainly think that we'll have a stronger economy and a stronger country together. Miss Sturgeon said Scotland's top law officer, the Lord Advocate, had referred the case to the UK's highest court, with court papers being served on UK government law officers on Tuesday afternoon. Next, the President of the Supreme Court will decide if there are preliminary matters to be addressed and when the case will be heard. The First Minister said she hoped the court would be able to deliver clarity and legal certainty in a timely manner, instead of MSPs passing the bill only for it to subsequently face a legal challenge from opponents. If the court rules that Holyrood does not have the power to hold a referendum, she said that the next general election would become a de facto referendum, with the SNP standing on a single issue of independence. However, if the court rules that the Scottish Government's favour, Miss Sturgeon said it would move quickly to pass its referendum bill, which was published while she was speaking. She said that the lawfulness of the referendum must be established as a matter of fact, not just opinion. Otherwise, she said, opposition parties would cast doubt on the legitimacy of the process so that they can avoid the substantive debate on independence. Nicola Sturgeon has set a date for a referendum that may not happen. That's because she's making it clear it can only go ahead if it is considered legal by judges in the UK Supreme Court, and that's far from certain. However, one thing that I don't agree with is if there is a geographical area that wants to declare independence, you then have to get permission from the country that benefits from you being a part of it. And that's, like I said, one thing that should never be done is you should never make the state have the final say in all disputes, even those involving itself, because it will just say no to its benefit every single time. The First Minister has decided to adapt her plans to test the powers of the Scottish Parliament before trying to pass a referendum bill. It is obviously a gamble, but probably less messy than risking a bill being struck down in court. It also means we may never know if Scotland's top law officer, the Lord Advocate, would have otherwise allowed the bill to proceed. Plan A was to was to win a majority for Indie Ref 2 at Holyrood in the hope of persuading UK ministers to back it, and that hasn't worked. This is a variation of the SNP's Plan B to pursue a bill anyway and take their chances in court. Nicola Sturgeon has also revealed her Plan C. If this referendum doesn't happen, she'll fight the next UK election on the single issue of independence. The First Minister told MSPs she had written to the Prime Minister to ask him to negotiate the terms of a Section 30 order which would temporarily transfer the power to hold a referendum from Westminster to Holyrood, as happened ahead of the 2014 referendum, which saw Scottish voters back remaining in the UK by 55% to 45%. And oh, the streets of Glasgow were alive that night. Got in so many fights. Miss Sturgeon said this option would put the legal basis of a referendum beyond doubt. But with Mr Johnson having repeatedly refused her calls for another referendum to be held, Miss Sturgeon added, "What I am not willing to do, what I will never do, is allow Scottish democracy to be a prisoner of Boris Johnson or any Prime Minister." Well, you don't need to worry about that now. The First Minister said, "My determination is to secure a process that allows the people of Scotland, whether yes or no or yet to be decided, to express their views in a legal, constitutional referendum so the majority view can be established fairly and democratically. The steps I am setting out today seek to achieve that." She added, "If it does transpire that there is no lawful way for this Parliament to give the people of Scotland the choice of independence in a referendum, and if the UK government continues to deny a Section 30 order, my party will fight the UK general election on a single question: should Scotland be an independent country?" Miss Sturgeon says that the Scottish Government would make the positive case for independence and would do so with commitment, confidence and passion in the coming months. She said, "Let the opposition, if they can, make the case for continued Westminster rule, and then let the people decide." According to the polling expert, Professor Sir John Curtis, the last half dozen polls have, on average, put support for independence at 48, with 52% against, once don't know votes are excluded. The UK government has repeatedly stated that now is not the time for another referendum, with a spokesman saying that remained its position. Then it's just going into all this fucking pish again. Right, it's just repeating itself now. However, now, as I've said, I am pro-independence because I want power to be as decentralised as possible. Because after that, I think it should be granted to cities, towns, districts, my house, right? Let's bring it all down. But it also means that once Westminster are out the picture and the SNP don't have them to blame for literally fucking everything, people will finally realise that the SNP are actually just a dog shit party. That, oh, it's because Tories, oh, it's because Westminster, oh, it's because blah, 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 blame, 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 blame. Basically, literally everything is everyone else's fault, usually the Tories, except the SNPs. Everyone is to blame but them. However, if we get independence and Westminster is no longer a problem and the SNP are fully in the saddle, the other one's completely in fucking control, then people will realise, holy shit, you've just actually been terrible this entire time. I mean, I can envision it like 20 years from now, Nicola Sturgeon, you know, praise be unto her, you know, the eternal glorious leader, sitting there going like, "It's bloody Westminster." And Nicola, it's been 20 years, man. We're starting to think that you're just awful. Right? Fucking. So I want independence for that reason. I think it's accelerationism to the SNP's downfall. That's why. Basically, they're going to be a fucking awful dogshit party. And the beautiful thing about our independence is they're going to make us rejoin the EU. They're going to make us rejoin the fucking EU. So, in other words, we'll be independent for about 6 months and then we're in the EU. And by the way, you see the amount of being in the EU, we're an independent country in the EU. Yeah, I'm a single man in a relationship. Fucking bullshit. Right? The fact is, we still have to obey the EU's laws. We still have to pay but they give us money. Yeah, okay, at what cost? Our independence. That's why we're not independent if we're in the EU. Right, and that's what the SNP don't understand. We'll be independent for about 5 fucking minutes until they fucking... Basically, they don't mind wearing the collar, they just want to change who's holding the leash. Right, that's what the SNP... SNP are not nationalists, right? They don't want independence. Right, Nicola at this point doesn't give a fuck what happens. She just wants her name in the history book. She thinks she's going to be remembered the same way as fucking William Wallace and all that, when she fucking won't. She's a tyrant. People in her own party have even said that she's a fucking tyrant. I want independence to happen because I want the power to be decentralised, and I also want to accelerate the SNP's downfall. which is what I hope will happen.